Hey, everybody. I'm back again. I'm here to talk with you about cannabis and an old fashioned way of testing. And so, in the description of this video, is a link to testing cannabis medicines the old fashioned way. All right. So, that's where it'll take you. And this is a very interesting read. And the reason that I pulled this up is I had a situation here last night where the puppy dog went out and met with a porcupine, and she took a hit on the side of the face. She took a hit in the snout, the whole front of the face. She took a hit down here in the chin and both legs. She had quite a few prills in her, and she was not happy. Now, here recently, um, someone locally took their dog into the vet, and I hear tell it cost $1,000 to get those prills out. And this is a holiday weekend here right now, Memorial Day weekend, in the middle of the night. What do you think that would have cost? So, with 4 grams of RSO, the dog was sedated enough that we were able to get the job done. Now, this wasn't easy. That's still very painful, pulling those prills out. And so we went through a process of dog would start nodding out, get a couple, then we'd have to come back and do it again. Get the dog to relax. That medicine would take over. She'd basically just nod out. I could see the rapid eye movement. Get a couple more. And it seemed like a daunting task. Like, are we really going to get this done? But I knew we would because I've done it before. I've done it before with bigger dogs and had to get 9 grams of cannabis oil inside. So now people will tell you that you can't give cannabis to a dog. Well, you can. And it explains it in this article. They used to use dogs for evaluating. So I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs out of this article just to get your attention, to get you to go read it, because it's a good read. And now, dogs and cats, they suffer from tooth decay as well. And let's see. Okay. It's asking me whether I want this message to, I'm going to say no. So anyways, let's take a look at this article because this is really quite interesting. I'll skip the first paragraph. Cannabis use goes back thousands of years, and it was common pharmaceutical in the USA and Europe for century from 1830s until 1930s. Excuse me. Hundreds of articles were published in medical journals during the era that consistently reflected the same results we find today for medical cannabis uses, including treatments of epilepsy, digestion, sleep, pain, and more. The unpleasant effects from overdoses were well documented in the 1800s, as well as lack of fatalities those overdoses ever caused. All right, this isn't a drug. You can't overdose on it. You can have some very strong, unpleasant reactions when your endocannabinoid system is unnourished. But once you get your endocannabinoid system nourished, you can't get high and you don't have unpleasant effects. All right, so doctors were quite consistent in their views that cannabis is a fairly mild drug. Again, it's not a drug, it's an herb, offering minimal toxicity, no buildup of tolerance or dependence, and overall being relatively safe. One problem doctors had was inconsistency of potency from one batch to the next. Much of the inconsistency was due to the drugs being imported, primarily from India via England. The imported drugs suffered from long travel times, poor packaging, in addition to unverified raw materials. To remedy this problem, American pharmaceutical firms, including Eli Lilly and Park Davis, began cultivating their own indica strains around 1900. They labeled their products Cannabis Americana. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Most cannabis drugs of the era were extracts taken orally. They were not smoked. The extracts were usually alcohol-based tinctures or else solid edible similar to hashish. Since the doctors did not know about THC, they had no analytical method to test potency of their products. The only way to test for potency was to either take the drugs themselves or test on animals. Small dogs weighing around 25 pounds were typically used, with some breeds, such as fox terriers, known to be good test subjects. Now, what they would do is they'd give the cannabis to the dog, and if its head drooped and its gait staggered, in other words, it's unsteady on its feet, right? Then they considered that a good batch. That's a fact. That's how they did it back then. So, this is what we're all deprived of, folks. That's terrible. It's just a terrible thing. So, how many people are in prison today? How many people have been in prison for their safety? To keep them away from marijuana, cannabis. Does it make any sense to you at all? No, it doesn't. All right, everybody. I just wanted to share that. This was quite an ordeal. It was a good 10 or 11 hours of working with the dog to get this taken care of, but we got them all. There were some that broke right near the outside, yet was able to still get them and get them out. So I have become a little bit of an expert at this. I've been through this with the dogs a few times. And so at any rate, this time we had 100% success. Got every needle out. There isn't anything broken. And the puppy dog, is just crashed out right now. She's full of natural painkiller, natural antibiotic, natural sleep medicine. And she's exhausted because that was a lot for her to go through. And she put up a lot of fight. Yet with the 4 grams of cannabis was enough to get her to where she would start to just pass out, drift off to sleep. And that's when I could get a couple. And that would wake her up. And then she'd come back, she'd lay down, get comfortable again, pass out, get a couple more. And so at any rate, folks, don't let people tell you that cannabis is dangerous for dogs. It's dangerous for you. What's dangerous for dogs and dangerous for you is government. Yes, indeed. All right, everybody. Much love. I'll be back soon. Own your authority. Enjoy the holiday weekend.